Hey, it's Kathy McAllister here, T-Wife Creations. Surprise, I'm on. So we did our poll for the inserts, the seasonal inserts, and the Christmas moose, or the Christmoose one as the one that you chose for me to paint first. And normally I would just be off in a little corner, dark corner somewhere, painting this by myself. But the reason I've gone live is that, hi Marlene. Oh, yeah, I do love this. This guy is so cute. Anyway, the reason I'm doing this live is because my life is not in my control right now. I'm finding it very difficult to come back and edit my videos and upload them. So I'm going to go ahead and do some of these live, and that way they're recorded, and they may not be, you know, the best edited versions, but at least if you want to paint this yourself, you'll have this as a guide. Anyway, I'm going to just kind of start going through this and showing you what the colors I've decided to use, and we're going to go ahead and get some color on this and do some dry brushing as well. And if you're available, thank you very much for coming in to watch. And if you're not available live, this will be up in our group for 30 days, and then after that, it's going to be on my YouTube channel. So I made my wonderful notes here. I'm going to make my little face disappear here. You don't need to see me while I'm painting. So what I do is I kind of look at the piece and I think about what kind of color combinations do I want for each of these pieces that I start. And I don't always use the same colors as other people. It probably drives some of you crazy because if you're wanting to you know, do it the way I'm doing it, it sometimes means you have to go purchase more DecoArt paints. But I do tend to kind of do things that are a little bit less standard on colors. So for instance, on the evergreen, I just decided I wanted it to be more like that blue spruce instead of being like a Kelly green, which is brighter. I wanted to go more in the blue, green, teal, jeweled colors. So like the darkest one would be mermaid teal, then moving into mystic teal, and then going to bluegrass green, which I rarely use, and then into teal mint, which I rarely use, and then sea breeze. And you can see that it's kind of a progression. Now, in real life, it looks a little different because this one, the mermaid tail, I'm looking at my camera and it's coming out bluer. These are actually much greener. The tone is much greener than what is showing on camera. But this is kind of how I do it. I'll take like 10 to 15 colors and I'll turn them upside down, and I will get a family that really works together, from your darker color that could be used as shading to your medium tones to your lighter tones. So that's kind of how I start. So I decided that the pines would probably be these darker jeweled colors. So, and then I do the same, like for the body, I'm kind of going with the dark chocolate, milk chocolate, honey brown, toffee, so those colors. And then, so I decided that the bird, the holly, and the scarf, they're going to have red tones. So that's kind of where I'm starting in my head, and I just have to decide on the pines if I want to go the darkest mermaid tail, or whether I want to start with mystic teal, because I can save this one as kind of a shade. Hi, Julia. Okay, no problem. The video's here whenever you want to have a look. I just wanted to squeeze in here because I know later this afternoon, Erica Joanne is going on YouTube, which is always fun to watch her. And then later this evening, I believe Sandy McTeer has her live. So I'm just kind of squeezing in here so that if you do want to watch me live, you know, that'd be great. Okay, so the back part of the insert, I'm going to just do it all in one color because, of course, you can see this part is covered up. So all you're seeing is the pines peeking out. And I think I'll go with, instead of the darkest, which is the mermaid tail, I'm going to leave that for potential shading. I'm going to do it Mystic Teal. And the Mystic Teal will be for the back, and then we'll go a little lighter on the tree in the foreground. So when you're doing some of these laser cut pieces, if you want to get a solid coverage and also a little bit of texture, you can sponge, which is like dot, 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 here you are, dot, 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 dot. Well, the fast way is get yourself some mini rollers. And I sell mini rollers on my site, but you can get them so inexpensively over at Lowe's or Home Depot or any of those places. But they do come in handy. And then if they're base colors that you're going to reuse all the time, just grab yourself a Ziploc bag and save the, you know, you don't have to wash them out each time. You can just drop that into a Ziploc bag. This one is kind of not a base primary color, so more than likely I would wash it out. But for the time being, since I'm teaching, I'm going to throw it in a Ziploc bag and then wash it out later. I always kind of hate sending paint down the sink too. I really have a problem with that. But there's not a lot. I mean, I don't know. You guys ought to leave comments. What is your best way? Do you just wash your brushes, your acrylic paint in the sink? And I mean, I don't really know if there's a lot of alternatives to that. So I did not seal this piece. A lot of people do like to use a multi-purpose sealer and then lightly sand, but you certainly don't have to do that. You can do that. Some people on the first coat will use a 50-50 multi-purpose sealer with the acrylic, and that's probably the smartest way to do it. I'm just kind of getting this done quick, fast, easy. So yeah, it probably would have been better for me to do that 50-50 mixture. Now, these pieces poke through the back of the breadboard and the window box display. So you do need to do the back. You need to do the back for two reasons. One is, as I explained, you're going to see some of it, but the other is you do sometimes get like a little bit of warpage that happens with any laser cut kit. Okay, so I'm going to take my dirty roller and I have just applied multi-purpose sealer to it. So I'm going to do it the right way on the back. So I am just applying a little bit of the sealer and the paint here. So very quickly, of course, my surface gets filthy. It's like I want to make this nice and pristine while I'm doing lives or classes, but yeah, can't ever keep my surface clean when I'm doing these kits. So, and I'll do another round of 100% paint. Okay, and again, I'm using Mystic Teal. This is Mystic Teal. So I usually don't do anything fancy on the back, but like if you wanted to, you could use a stencil or something. If you just wanted a little bit of a design on the back. So the Mystic Teal is such a gorgeous color. So you don't really have to worry when you're doing the back that it be, you know, super dark or opaque or whatever. Just get the color down. So again, like I said, whenever you're using sponges or rollers, it will help create like a little bumpy texture. Some people don't like that. If you don't want any kind of texture, brush your paint on. I like the coverage and I like the texture. Okay, so mostly dry. I'm going to just use a little bit again of the multi-purpose sealer. I've already put one coat down, but I'm just going to get a little bit of this sealer on here. So really, if you do it first, or if you mix it with your first coat of paint, do it 50-50. That's really all you need to do. Okay. And I will do one more quick coat over the top. I don't know what that is. There we go. Okay, and I'm just using a half sheet of palette paper because you'll be throwing this away, so I don't want to use a whole sheet. It ends up wasting, but a half sheet is perfect for my roller. So go ahead and put another coat on. And this Mystic Teal is nice that it starts out where it looks a little bluer, and then it dries a little greener. So it's really got some nice tones to it. Okay, so that's pretty much the background. And so this piece is going to layer on top, and you can see it's got a little bit of the tree that's going to show up. So let's see, it's still a little wet. So these are going to be to the background, and this one's going to be a little bit more mid to the foreground. So like I said, I'm going to start with the next color. So that was Mystic Teal, and if we go in our harmonic order, these are the lighter colors. So that's kind of like the mid-range. So this one is Bluegrass Green, and I'm going to use Bluegrass Green here. So you can see that the mousse is in the front, and it will completely obscure the back here. So it doesn't matter when you're doing your tree that you're going to go into the mousse body. It's not going to make any difference because it's all covered up. Okay, so I'm going to move this aside. And what I'm going to do is it's going to kind of mix colors a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my dirty roller, and I'm going to take the Bluegrass Green and just go over the top. So it will kind of mix the colors a little bit, and that's fine. I do this kind of thing all the time. It really helps me to layer colors. I could have gotten a clean sponge, but I'm just going to do it this way. Okay. And again, I could come back with the sealer if I want. Okay. So again, that is the bluegrass green. And some of you might not even have that in your arsenal. I don't know. But it is a really pretty color. And yeah, does what it says on the bottle. Bluegrass green. Or bluegrass needles. If you're doing a pine tree. Okay. So, and that's all. See, when you do the rollers, you know you're getting a really good coverage. And this piece is not going to show, so I'm not going to do the back. And it's small enough that you don't really need to worry about warpage, because once you glue it down, it's going to be glued down, so you don't really need to worry about that. So I'm not going to do the back of that one. Okay, so I'm just going to move this out of the way. So normally I have the quart size, but I ran out and I didn't feel like going into the garage to get my my store of quart size bags. So I'm like, whatever. I'll put this into a enormous bag. There we go. All right, and like I said, I'll probably clean that one out, or I don't know, maybe I won't. I'll use it again. So then what I'll tend to do is just mark, like this is, I'm just going to say it's blue-green. And that way I can use whatever teal or whatever that's kind of similar to this color. If I want to reuse this and not wash all the paint down my sink. Okay. And then, you know, I've only used a half a sheet and I just toss that. Okay. So now I've got some nice lovely texture going on. And you can see that piece goes like this. And then he's going to come in the front. So anyway. Yeah, one thing I don't have in my yard yet are moose. We were battling an elk all this weekend, part of last week and the week before, because all of our apples were getting really sweet. We've got like 8 apple trees. And there's this one female elk cow. I'm calling her Elsa. She doesn't have any boyfriends and she doesn't belong to a herd, which is kind of strange for a female elk. And we have had the hardest time getting her out of our apple trees. So we've had to like pick the apples a lot sooner than we normally would. And the other day she got into one of our trees, and I thought that we had got her to leave, and we had picked the apples out of that tree, so we had only left a few like green apples in that tree. And I took my dog Tully out for a walk, and when I came into the driveway where this tree was, she had her head stuck in the tree, eating away on branches, leaves, everything. And then I didn't see her until like I was literally 1.5 feet from her butt. And so my dog barks at her. So she turns around and oh my gosh, I don't know how loud I screamed, but the neighbors came out and I ran down to get into the house oh my gosh, I was so scared. It was terrifying. I have never been so close to an elk ever. So, and she still didn't move after that. She was in the neighbor's driveway. She came back to our apple tree down below and started to eat. Oh gosh. Anyway, I haven't seen her in, I think it's 2 days now. All right, so there you go. So now I'm going to start on him, and I could do the scarf too. I mean, the beauty of all of this is you can work on whatever piece you want to work on because it's all liftable and separated. But right now I'm doing the base coats. So I'm going to get a sponge now, and you can use a makeup sponge, or you can use like the white makeup sponges. I love these craft sponges because they leave even more texture. Hi, Lori. Welcome in. Well, hello, Robin. I see I've got some people who are watching now. Robin and Lori and Kathy. So, and Marlene was on, and Julia. So thank you guys. So I do love these because they do leave a lot of texture, and I know that must drive some people crazy. It's like, oh, that crazy Kathy. She's got to put texture on everything. So anyway, so the piece back here you're not seeing, so you don't have to do anything, even if that, looks crazy and may annoy you, but you just don't worry about it. Just set it aside. So I want the antlers and the muzzle to be a little different. Okay. So again, I do the same process. I bring out my colors. So I've already sorted them, but this is kind of the process I go in. So you've got dark chocolate. No, that's burnt umber. That's dark chocolate. And that's milk chocolate. So those are the darker tones. And then you slowly bring in some of the lighter tones. You have cocoa and honey brown. And then you have almondine and toffee, and also light buttermilk, which we'll use as well. So it kind of shows you the progression of colors. And so I don't want him to be burnt umber, but I'll save the burnt umber for shading. But I am going to do his body in dark chocolate. And that gives me, if I start with a darker color like this, it gives me the ability to do a little bit more dry brushing and layering, which I really like doing. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do his body, but not his antlers. I don't know. I thought I had an antler piece, but I do not have an antler piece. Okay, so we want to be careful when we do this. If we want to do the antlers in a different color, don't take it beyond the head. And so then his muzzle, I'm going to do the antlers a little lighter than the muzzle. So the muzzle, I think I decided, did my little cheat notes. Let us see. So the antlers are going to be toffee and almondine, and the muzzle's going to be honey brown, cocoa, and then highlights of toffee. Okay, all right. So, but to start with, the body is going to be dark chocolate. Okay. So this might be just easy enough to brush it on. When you brush, sometimes you will lose some of the engraving. So sponging does not go as deep. When you brush, the brush is just like depositing paint right into the engraving. And if you don't want to do that, I do recommend sponging first. So dark chocolate. And the only trick with the sponging is we don't want to go into the antler area. It probably won't matter too much if you cross over just a little bit, because we're going to be shading with darker color. So I've got this loaded up, and I don't want to start right where the eyes are, because that will deposit too much of the darker or the paint in here. So Robin, have a nice haircut. So, and even when you do this, you'll see you're starting to like lose where the eyes are. So you just kind of have to work around that. So I'm going to bring this up as far as I can. And like I said, if I go over the line a little bit, it's okay, because I was going to shade with, I don't know what color yet I'm going to shade with up there. But it can be darker. So if you get a little bit over the edge, that's fine. Or come back with a brush and make it a little bit sharper line. And you'll need 2 coats of this. And again, it's dark chocolate. So really the fun part starts happening as we start layering and doing dry brushing. So this first step, let's face it, it's boring. But it has to be done. You can't get around not doing your base coating. So I have given it a little bit of fuzzy edges across that line because I am going to come back and do some shading. Okay. So it's probably going to be a lot easier just to brush on the antlers, but I really love sponging them. Because if you sponge them, then you get that kind of velvety look, you know, and antlers got that velvety thing going on, but it's going to be a lot trickier. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do it anyway because I like it. I'm going to get out my little sponge applicator. So these very inexpensive things that you can get from Amazon. Okay, I got to check my sheet notes again. So I guess they call them antlers on a moose. I don't know. So we're going to start with toffee and do dry brushing with almondine. But we're going to start with toffee. Let me see where I put my toffee. Okay, there it is. So those colors work together. The almondine is a little bit too light to start with. So we're going to start with the toffee. And again, one of the main reasons I'm doing this live is I know a lot of people are busy during the day, but I just don't have a lot of time to edit my videos right now. So a lot of times I'll just record myself painting, and then I'll go back through and I'll edit it and I'll make it faster in certain areas and I'll put some music in and I'll do all that. Well, with my life right now, that's kind of hard to do. So my mom starts chemo probably next week for her newly diagnosed cancer. And I'm her only child who is nearby, pretty much only responsible child. So she needs me to help her. So we're going into the great unknown. So, anywho. So this is easier for me if I go ahead and just do a live, and if you're around here, come on in, and if you're not, you can watch the replay. Okay, I'm going back to the dark chocolate. Dark chocolate is pretty dark for his body. However, like I said, I want to do some dry brushing. And again, because we're doing all this lovely sponging, we get all these little effervescent bubbles that end up leaving gorgeous texture. And texture is amazing when you do dry brushing. So the way I started my my hobby, God, not my career. My career was magazines and publications. My hobby of arts and crafts started with, I used to paint ceramics. So I painted onto greenware and did glazes as well. But I also, on bisqueware, we would do a lot of dry brushing. So we do layer upon layer upon layer of dry brushing. And that was back, when did I start doing that? In 92. So that's how I started. And I really loved it. So I got a teacher certification to teach people how to paint the Gear products. And I was living in Malaysia at the time. I was in Kuala Lumpur. And I lived there for 4 years, and that's where my son was born. He turns 30 tomorrow. So it's been a while. It's been a while. I cannot believe my son turns 30. Holy moly. So his birthday is tomorrow. Oh, see a space I missed right there. Yeah, that's one thing when I'm chit-chatting, so that it's not just complete silence here. I sometimes miss things. So I have to be careful. I go back and double check my work. But it was very interesting living overseas in the likes of Malaysia. I remember at the time that my husband was working in Houston. We were in Texas. I was born in Texas. And he was working for ExxonMobil. He's a geophysicist and geochemist. So he was doing oil exploration, doing the science part of it. And he came home and said, well, we're going to move to Abu Dhabi. I'm sorry, not Abu Dhabi. That was another assignment. But Kuala Lumpur. And I'm like, hello, where? I was early 30s, and it's like, where? But there's a lot of, as they would call us, expats living in Malaysia. There were just tons of expats, and so it was very interesting. I had a great life there. So it was very hot though. Okay, muzzle, honey brown, dry brush cocoa, and toffee. So we're starting with honey brown, okay? And then you can see how that works with cocoa. So those are complementary colors. Hi, Paula. Welcome in. Paula's coming from Pennsylvania. I have never been to Pennsylvania. I think I should go. One of my close neighbors is originally from that neck of the woods. So her name's Greta. And Greta is an amazing baker. Once in a while she'll bring me some treats. I gave her a whole bunch of apples, so I'm hoping maybe she'll bring me some treats soon. But yeah, I should get to Pennsylvania sometime. I think I'd enjoy that. I bet this time of year is really pretty in Pennsylvania. I mean, it's gorgeous here in Colorado. The leaves are just starting to change down here. In the mountains, the leaves they're already changing. Some of them have already peaked, which is kind of hard to believe because I'm looking out at mostly green leaves with hints of yellow, a little bit of gold, not much orange or red yet. Okay. So I think on this piece, I'm going to go ahead and lay down my light color because I'm going to come back with either watermelon slice or tomato red. So I've picked these two colors. They're complementary. But I'm going to go ahead and lay down my base coat of, what was I using, toffee? Because I could use almondine. Let's see, toffee is a little bit, whoops. No, toffee's the lighter one. Okay, I am going to go ahead and use a little bit of toffee. And then I can lighten it up. I don't want it to be white. I mean, that would be the tendency to go Snow White and a bright red. But I'm going to try it a little bit more subdued. And then if I don't like it, I can put in a lot of Snow White highlights. So if you start too light, you don't have anywhere to go. If you start a little bit darker, then you can layer the colors and you get a little bit more depth if you do that. So if you start too light, you can't really reverse it and say, you know, maybe I should have gone darker. You can't really reverse it. So I'm going to start with the toffee. And probably before I do the red, I'm going to come back in and add in some shading and highlighting, just to, because I'll see. This is me talking to myself. Okay, I'm going to go back to the honey brown and do a second coat. Hi, Sheila. I see you're watching. See, I can see those things. It tells me Sheila's watching. I know I'm so bad. A lot of times I'll get on. It's like I just want to get an idea of what she's doing. I don't want to announce I'm here. I just want to kind of sneak in. So anyway, all right. Second coat of the toffee on the antlers. Oh, Kathy. I got sloppy. I'm not sure it really matters, but I'll just take some of that off. Got a little sloppy. Yeah, it's been an interesting week. So, in addition to my mom, I had to take my puppy dog for his annual visit today. And he has a mass. I'm like, hello, can the week get any more stressful? I'm like, seriously? So my dog turns 7 first week of October. I'm like, yeah. Do you ever have any of those times you just kind of want to pull your covers up over your head and say, okay, yeah, I'll just stay here. You can just bring me, you know, my coffee or my tea and my meals. I'm just going to hang here for the next 6 months. Aw, thank you, Lori. Yeah, it is a little silly. Stuff's going on. You know, there's a lot of people and stuff is going on, so I'm not the only one. So I send out love and hugs to our friend Sandy McTeer. She's got challenges on her plate too. Robin Ricker, she's got stuff going on. So, hugs all around. We just get through it. That's why I love coming on with you guys, because it's such a sisterhood and such a supportive network. So, very important. Very important to have your network, because you never know when you're going to need them. Okay. So at some point I've got to start doing some dry brushing, because I'm sure you guys are like, please stop with the base coating. Okay. So let's do a little fun stuff. I think what I'll do is, got a snowflake there. I am going to go ahead and do a little bit of shading. And so the mermaid tail is the darkest of these teal colors that we have. Thanks, Sheila. Yeah, you're right. You really do have to just take it as our friend Cheryl Bentley says. You take it. If you're, how do you eat an elephant? Not that anybody wants to eat an elephant, but it's basically one bite at a time. You got to approach everything one bite at a time. So That's what we're trying to do. Okay, so I don't know if this is going to be, if this mermaid tail is actually going to be dark enough now that I'm looking at it. It looks like it would be. I'm going to get some Payne's Gray. See if I can find it in my collection here. I hadn't pulled that out before. I also have black green, but Payne's Gray has a little bit of blue in it, whereas black green does not. So I'm going to use a little bit of Payne's Gray and mermaid tail, and I'm gonna double dip and shade with both colors. So let me do that. Hi, Lucy. How are you, my sweet friend? How are you doing? Okay. So, I'm going to kind of concentrate towards the bottom of these fir branches. So not all of this will show. Good, Lucy. I'm trying to get up and at them as best as I can. I may have chewed off more than, or I might have bitten off more than I can chew to try to get everything done I want to get done before our next online market spot. And as I was saying earlier, it's going to be not this weekend, but the following weekend that starts on Friday the 26th. Friday the 26th, of course, I'm going to be teaching the Little Witch class. So anyway, so my demo and sale will not be on the Friday. I know that. Since I will be doing other things. Teaching a Zoom class. Okay, so I'm going to, again, try to keep this sort of towards the bottom. And you don't have to be perfect, because that's the beauty of dry brushing. You just come back and dry brush back over those areas if you don't like the lines and you don't like the way it looks. Like I've come in really far here. I don't know how much of this is going to even show. So I guess quite a bit of it does show. So maybe I should try to be a little bit more accurate. I don't think I should have brought my brush quite so far in. So I know a lot of people who do these kits, they don't always do a lot of shading or a lot of dry brushing. But again, to me, this is what makes them so special. But you can make these kits as simple and easy as you want. You don't have to spend a lot of time shading and dry brushing, because they're really pretty and cute without that. I just, am obsessive. What can I say? So now I'm going to use just the mermaid tail. I'm not going to use the Payne's Gray on this one. So I've never painted this piece before. This is the first time. So I don't really know what kind of results I'm going to get. I don't know if I'm going to love it or hate it. Yeah, I'll fix this. It's a little silly that I took that one all the way in there. So let me just get Trying to remember what color it was. Mystic teal. Mystic teal. Yeah, I'm getting confused because mermaid tail and mystic teal, all the names are starting to kind of combine in my head. All right, I just don't want that piece sticking out so far. That looks a little silly. But it's easy to fix these things. Okay. So again, when we did this one, it was bluegrass green. That one was bluegrass green, and this was mystic teal. Okay. So I'm going to come back with the mermaid tail. See, like I told you, it's like, I don't know if I'll ever keep these straight in my head. So I'm going to come back with the mermaid tail. And just, I'm not even sure really I need to reinforce these much. Maybe this one. So really, probably didn't need much there. Okay. And then this one I will reinforce. And again, that was the mermaid tail and the Payne's green. Payne's gray. Hello. Hi, Janet. Yeah, I was just saying slightly earlier that on Monday, Mom and I are going to go for, they call it therapy education. What to expect when you start chemo. My mom's been such a trooper. She really has. So anyway, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna have that fun appointment on Monday. Woohoo! So, but I think that, you know, the story could be a lot worse. Let's just say that. So, and she is a real trooper. She's 85. Bless her heart. Aw, thanks, Janet. I'm doing my best. I think we all kind of just learn as we go, right? I mean, you know, nobody really knows what to expect. Okay, so let me double check where everything's going here, so I'm not forgetting to paint something. So those were just quick and dirty shades, nothing special. Okay. Okay, so this is, again, that was the bluegrass green. So now I'm going to go a little lighter, and I'm going to get out one of my dry brushes. I've got different kinds of dry brushes that I use. Just going to share them with you if you're not all that familiar with some of the options. Okay, so the stiffest dry brush that I own is the Mezzaluna. So it's, a lot of people love these, and they kind of, to me, they can be a little scratchy. So you just have to be careful. They're easy to definitely work down. This is one of my favorite dry brushes. This is a Lynn Andrews Stippler. And I love the oval shape, that it works really well on certain kinds of projects. I also really love the Josanya. So this, I don't know, maybe because the bristles are longer, even though they might be as rough as the Mezzaluna because they're spread out. I don't know. They feel like I get a better soft feel from them. I don't know. It's weird. But this is softer than this. So this is the Joe Sonia Sure Touch. And I do like them. I do like them. And then the softest of all of them is the Dynasty 200 Blender. And as the name says, it's kind of more of a blender, but I do use it for dry brushing and I love it, but it can stay wet, a little bit wetter. So you have to be kind of careful when you use this one, the Dynasty 200, that, you know, you've dried it off really well on your paper towel. So, but I have a whole bunch of different kinds of dry brushes because they do different things. So let me see. I think on this, I kind of like this size. That's the number 8. And I'm going to use the Joe Sonia Sure Touch. Okay, so we said that was bluegrass green. So the next color, let me check my cheat notes here. The next color was teal mint. So that's, now it's trying to remember where I put it. Oh, it fell down. Okay. Fell down. Teal mint. So if the teal mint is too light, you can always mix it with a little bit of bluegrass green and come back in if you feel like you're losing some of your tones. Okay, so everybody knows who takes classes with me, I love dragging the dry brush over the edges. You pick up a lot of color by doing that. So I do like coming and dragging it over some of the edges. So, and on this, you do want to kind of think about, you know, where's your light source? So this is not too dark. Too dark, too light. I was kind of worried that maybe it might be a little bit light, but I think it's really nice for dry brushing the bluegrass green. Again, it's teal mint. So as it dries, I can see it getting a little bit darker. So kind of swish it in the direction of the branches. Swish, 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 swish. And if you end up losing too much of your shade, you can come back with more shade if that's what you want to do. That was way too wet, but hey ho, it doesn't matter. It's a laser cut piece. It's very forgiving. And of course on this, you know, you can come back with some Snow White as your final highlight to create, you know, the illusion of having snow in the branches. You can also use a texture product to, you know, lay down something that looks like a snow. Okay. And if you want to introduce any kind of brown into this, I can come back and shade again. I often shade more than once. So I'm just going to bring in a little bit of milk chocolate. I just want a little bit of brown tone going on. Let me see my shading brush. And just see what it looks like with a little bit of this. All of a sudden, I put my shader in a weird position and the bristles are spreading out. I need to be more careful. Okay, so this is milk chocolate. It's not like a burnt umber or anything. So sometimes by coming back with a different tone, it just makes the layering more interesting. So I will just fuss around with layering until the cows come home, basically. So not everybody likes to do as much floating and shading. Oh, Lucy, you're so funny. So if you want it to walk out some of the brown, you can. So in real life, this looks a little different. I'm looking at it on camera, and it's looking a lot darker than it really is. Okay. I'm going to come back with a little bit of the, oh dear, mermaid tail? Yeah, mermaid tail. Just want to bring some of that in underneath. Kind of walk it out a little bit. Yeah, the way it looks on camera is very different than what I'm seeing in, in my studio. I'm seeing a lot of sharp edges on the camera that I'm not. Oops, hello. Ooh. In real life, it's definitely softer. So, just going to bring in a little bit more of this milk chocolate as well. Let me see. Okay, let me just have a look. Yep. You are seeing a bit of this area over here. Okay, so I'm gonna, so that's the milk chocolate. So you kind of have to make your own swooping action of your branches, even though it's not really showing you where it's going. You kind of have to make that. Yeah, the camera, I don't know. I wonder if I can change the tone of my, let's just see. What does this do? I don't know if that does anything. That makes it brighter. I don't know. Oh, well. Well, hi, Sheila. You're pretty close by if you're in Mead. So I'm in Loveland. Welcome. I'm trying to think, what direction is Mead in? I'm thinking you're pretty close by to Loveland and Fort Collins, aren't you? My geography is failing me. Okay. Yeah, that would be great, Sheila. We'll have to get together. Okay, so since I've been spending time shading, now I'm going to come back with my mint teal mint even. And I'm just going to go back in and I'm just going to throw in some swishes. Swish, swish, swish. Just throw in some swishes. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're very nearby. Because a lot of the art people I know, there's a lot of them that are kind of towards Colorado Springs and Parker and Highland Ranch. And there's less of us up to the northern Front Range. So Okay. So in, like if I'm looking at this and some of the shading is bugging me, it's okay. But what I can do is I can do, so south of me, but before, okay, yeah, I thought it was really close. I thought that Mead was really close. So, so what I'm going to do is, I'm thinking about doing a color wash to blend those colors. Well, thanks, Sheila. That's the thing I love doing. I love getting kind of a three-dimensional look. Okay, I think I might do a color wash. Like I said, I do a lot more on my laser cut pieces than most folks do. So when I do color washes, and we're going to be doing this with the Little Witch, so this is an 8 and this is a 10, and that's a Scharf, and this is a Lynn Andrews. And I don't think I must have cleaned this one very well when I used it last. But the beauty of both of these is they kind of come to a point after you use them. So they're great for color washing, but they also will come to a point so you can do detail. Okay, so I did this in Bluegrass originally. I think I'm going to do a color wash of the mint, the teal mint. And I'm just going to go all over where I've just worked. And so with the color wash, you want to get it so it's about the consistency of kind of milk. So sort of like that. And before you come over, touch it to your paper towel. So you want it to be juicy, but not that juicy. Okay, so I'm going to I want to tie these colors together. I'm going to still kind of go in my swishing motion. Okay. So yeah, I mess around a lot with these pieces. Because I want them to be three-dimensional and interesting. So I've just blotted that with my paper towel to pick up some of the excess. Okay, so now it looks very different than before the color wash. So, and now I'm going to come back with dry brushing. Oh, okay. Yeah, I bet we are, Sheila. I bet we are in some of the same groups. So I have a lot of online groups I belong to, but when it comes to in-person groups, I belong to the Colorado Decorative Artists. And I also do some stuff with the Rocky Mountain High artists. Okay, so now I want to come back with just a slightly lighter tone. I'm going to use the Sea Breeze. And I've got my dirty dry brush that I've already used. I'm not going to clean it out. I'm just going to add in some of the Sea Breeze. And I'm going to go back over some of the areas that I've already done. And like I said, if you want it to be like snow is in the branches, you can come back with Snow White. I usually don't do that until more towards the end, when I kind of am getting a feel for how it's all coming together. So I'll kind of set some of these things aside and work on other areas. So there you go. And I'll probably, I'm going to mess around with this more, but that's kind of a beginning, and then I can refine it after the pieces start coming together. So your shading is still popping through, but it's not like totally in your face. Okay. Okay, so then if you put it up against that, you can see how far of a journey we've made. So these weren't the same color to start with, but you can see kind of where we're going. Okay, so then we're going to take this, and of course it's going to be not as light, so we're going to use some of the darker, not darker, but more of the mid-tones. So again, we started with Mystic Teal on this, and that was shaded with Mermaid Tail and Payne's Gray. And now the next color is the Bluegrass Green. So that's the next color. That's the color that was the base coat on this. So we're gonna, I do everything in families, you know, family colors. So I'm going to go ahead and use, even though this is lighter, I'm just going to go ahead and use it in my dirty brush, Bluegrass Green. And again, I like dragging over the edge. So that's the one that's covered up, so we don't need to worry about that. So swish both ways, because I can't remember what exactly is covered. Hey, Cheryl. Yeah, you know, Cheryl, I'm so bad. I know I'm supposed to schedule all these things and give you guys plenty of notice, but I'm so horrible about that. And also, as I was telling everybody early on, because of my schedule, I just thought I would go ahead and do this live instead of painting by myself, because it's taking me quite a bit of time to edit my videos, and I just don't really have time right now. So I thought, well, I will just do it this way. And when I do it this way, when I haven't painted a piece before, it means that sometimes things don't come out the way I think they're going to come out, and you guys are probably like, what is that woman doing? What is she doing? But this is how I paint, you know, when I'm off on my own. It's trial and error and effort. Again, this is that Bluegrass Green. And I must admit, I haven't used it a lot, but it's sure a pretty color. I do like it. So if you're doing like blue spruce, some of those cooler tones, instead of doing like the Kelly greens and some of those standard greens, or going more the yellow green like the lush green and stuff. Some of these jeweled tones, or these teal tones, are a nice change, I think. Oh, I love that. I do love that. So, I don't know. I didn't do any shading over on this side. I hope I don't need to shade. No, it's covered. Good. Okay, so a lot of this is going to show, so you want to be happy with what you've done. I think it needs more bluegrass green. Now, I could do the same with this as I did on the other. I could do a color wash of the bluegrass green on this, but we'll see. We shall see. Okay, so I won't stay on forever today, because I know some of you are going to go watch Erica Joanne. I don't know what time she comes on, though. I think it's in an hour. So she's going to be on YouTube today. And she's doing kind of a watercolor effect on with acrylics. Thanks, Cheryl. Yeah. Get to see the real deal with all the warts and all. Yeah, this bluegrass green is gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. So you can see I'm continuing to swish kind of in the direction that the branches would go, the needles would flow. And, you know, I can come back up with more shading. I don't know if I want to, but you could come up with more shading in there. Okay, and then, so the next step from bluegrass green is the teal mint. So I'm going to take a bit of teal mint, and I'm going to get it on my hands. I'm going to put it on my dirty brush. Okay. And you guys understand I'm sure you understand the art of dry brushing in that when you're using a dirty brush and you're moving from one color to the next, that by using your dirty brush, it helps you to move into the next color without, you know, a stark, I went from this color to this color. So if I got a clean brush, the color would look different. Now, that changes when you are going from, oh, she comes on in 2 minutes. Oh, drat. Oh, well. Cheryl, I understand if you want to go watch her. That's, I was trying to time it so I wouldn't come on at the same time as Erica, but oh, well, I can't help it. So if any of you want to go catch Erica Joanne on YouTube, she's coming on to paint some cool stuff. But anyway, so the dry brush process, you're building layers of color, and when you use a dirty brush, it allows you to do that. Now, if you're changing complete tones, like you're going from red to white, by all means, get a clean brush. Don't try to clean out your red out of your brush and move to white. You'll be very unhappy. So, but when you're using complementary colors, you're just moving on. I know, Cheryl, I'm really bad. I know, like Lori Spelt, she likes to keep like certain colors that she uses a lot, and it means that you kind of know what she's going to be using, and you probably have it in your stash. Me, oh, you know, it's like, oh, look at this cool color. I'm going to use this today. And it makes it more difficult when you're doing classes, because then you're like, oh no, what did that silly Kathy pick for me? I have to go find, you know, sunny yellow and torrid orange and all these weird colors. So I am liking the way that looks. And I don't really know if I don't know if I feel like I need a color wash on that. I don't want it to be as light as this, and it isn't, so that's good. So they're kind of to the back. Could I go a little bit lighter? Maybe. So I could take some of that, what is it? Not the teal mint, the sea breeze, and concentrate just towards the top. So the sea breeze was the final highlight color there. So the color that I was just using was bluegrass green to teal mint. So the highlights, the base of this was Mystic Teal, and then I went to bluegrass green, and then I went to teal mint. Okay? And now I'm going to use just a touch of sea breeze, because it was the final dry brush color here. So I'm going to use a bit of the sea breeze only towards the top. Only towards the top. Because I want it to be distinctive off of the tree in the foreground. Okay. All right. And I will put together like a little pattern. I may not have time to do a complete pattern, but at least you'll be able to see the colors that I used on this. And then you can refer back to the video if you need to. Okay. So there's probably some refining I need to do. A lot of time I kind of have to do the refining on my own while I'm not painting live, because I do tend to get a little distracted when I'm painting live. So we'll see. All right. So I'm going to set the trees aside. For now, you know, that's good. I'm going to bring out the moose. So he was done again in dark chocolate. And I'm going to go ahead. I think I'm going to dry brush him before I shade him. So his muzzle goes here. Because I was thinking about where the shading goes on this. Not the shading, the blush. So I guess the blush will go here. Okay. So I'm going to lighten up the muzzle first. And the muzzle was in honey brown. Okay. So the next color up is cocoa. Yeah, Sheila, I know. It's like, I do struggle a little bit with the live thing. And my main thing is because I'm chatting and I'm talking and then I'm forgetting what in the world I'm doing. Okay, so honey brown to cocoa. So we're going to do a little bit of cocoa, and no, I'm not going to be using my dirty blue brush. I'm going to get another brush. I always like, when I'm doing circular motions, I always like having an oval. So I'm going to use this, I think this oval, I'm trying to get a feel for it. Well, I'm going to use the number 10. And this is Lynn Andrews Stippler. So I love, love, love taking it over the edges. So I'm going to basically go all over the muzzle. Because my sponge had texture in it, it's actually picking up in the little textured areas there. If you want heavier color, you can come over with a slightly wetter brush. Okay, dry that. So that was cocoa, honey brown to cocoa, and now the next color is, I think, toffee. I gotta check my cheat notes. Honey brown, cocoa, toffee. Yes. Okay, so this is going to be lighter, so you have to be a little bit more careful. Dirty brush. Swipe, 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 swipe. So you want to keep the lighter color kind of towards the top. Okay. So I also have the almondine, and I do want to make this even a little lighter on the top. So I'm going to use the almondine, dirty brush, clean it off. So it's not actually true toffee, is it? Because you've got a dirty brush. If you want it to be lighter, then you have to like really work off the dirty color a little bit onto your paper towel to get some of the other color out. Okay, something like that. So now I'm going to get my favorite pink, which is vintage pink. And I'm going to give him some color. Okay, so dirty brush. So you can check to see how wet it is by stippling a little bit. So sometimes if you rub it and it's very wet, it will leave streaky bits. But if you feel like you're concerned that it's a little wet, you can do some stippling. So that's that. I also am going to do something weird. I want just a little color in his antlers. I'm going to do a little color in his antlers. Okay, just a little bit, not much. Okay, and his body is not covered up. It's pretty much, you're going to see it all. So I want a little bit of that color in his tummy. So that's very light. I don't know. I'm not sure I like that. I'm not sure I like that. That is very light. So if you get a color like that and you're like not 100% sure you like it, you can just go back over it again. Because it's not really picking up the pinkiness. I'm just going to add in a little bit of pink stippling. I don't know. Okay, so now I'm gonna do something. Oh, I need to do his ears too. A little bit of that vintage pink in his ears. Okay, so the next color is milk chocolate, because he's dark chocolate, and I don't know how this is going to work, but I'm going to do a color wash of the milk chocolate. So I'm going to take my juicy brush, but I need a bigger one than the 8. I need a 10. Let me see. Okay. That's a 12, I think. So this is a different company. Faux Sable by Dynasty. That's a little hard. No. Go back to Lynn Andrews. So that's a 12, I think. Okay. So, my palette paper is getting very crowded here, but let me just see. So there's the milk chocolate right there. When I'm doing color washes, a lot of times I use these specimen bottles, and if you have a dry brush, you need to, if your floater is a little bit dry, I put a bit of water down on my palette paper, and then I will drag out some of this to create a color wash. So again, dark chocolate, milk chocolate, and then I need to get a paper towel ready, and you want to keep this color out of the antlers. Okay. So you always touch off on paper towel. Uh-oh, I'm getting drips. Drips, drips, drips. Get another paper towel. Okay. So I'm just going to start spreading this color. Gone dry and everything dripped on my leg. So I need a little bit more of this, but the color wash has gone off onto my beautiful capris. Okay. Okay, so small pattern side of your paper towel. Blot it off. So that just went and toned down all the paint. So now he's got like a lighter hue to him. So I use color washes and dry brushing to create layers of color. So again, that was milk chocolate, and I'm gonna get more of this, and I'm gonna hope it doesn't go onto my beautiful Chico's capri pants. So now I have milk chocolate on my capris. There you go. Don't you just hate that? But you see kind of this lovely tone that you get. The dark chocolate was kind of flat. And then once you put on something like a color wash, it just adds more dimension. And when you're happy with the way that looks, because normally I would have done probably one, but since my first round of it was kind of dry, I just felt like I needed to come back again. Okay, so that's a color wash of milk chocolate. So this is going to go here, so you can see how it's starting to shape up. Okay, so now I'm going to do a little bit of dry brushing with that milk chocolate. So I've got pink in there. I think I don't want to use that. I don't want any pink, so I'm going to get another dry brush. So if you do these laser cut pieces like this, and you want to do a lot of dry brushing, it kind of is helpful to have, you know, a number of dry brushes on hand, because you can't, once you wash them out, you can use a bit of alcohol, what is it? The stuff you put on your hands, the squeezy alcohol gel, a sanitizer. You can use that to clean the brush out, but if you put it into water, then you really have to work to dry off your dry brush. So, because it will hold on to that moisture. Okay, I'm going back to the milk chocolate. I don't want to use the bit that I don't want to use this bit that I used for my color wash. I got brand new milk chocolate because that's too wet for dry brushing. So don't use what you mixed up for the color wash. And you don't have to use color washes or anything. I'm just showing you this is what I do. And this is, you know, people want to know, well, how did you get that to look that way? And it's just a lot of layering of colors. Okay. So since we did a color wash, the color is not as like, wow, that's a huge level tone difference from, you know, what you were working on. It won't be quite as dramatic because we did that color wash. But he's getting some interesting color going on. All right, so from milk chocolate to cocoa. Okay, I had some cocoa left on my palette. So drag it across the top, get some interesting colors going on. So concentrate on the ears and the forehead. Okay. So I'm liking that. So now I need to come back with either burnt umber or traditional burnt umber. And I'm going to do some shading. And if my shading looks too stark, I can always come back and dry brush over it. Okay, so here's the burnt umber. I don't know if that's going to be dark enough. I'm going to see if I can find my traditional burnt umber without taking a whole bunch of time here. Let me see. I should have pulled it out already. I don't know. Where are you? Nope. Ah. Okay, so traditional burnt umber. And get your shading brush and roll it through the paint. just like that. Okay. That's a little bit too wet. Okay. Go along the bottom. Okay. And you don't have to do the cheeks, of course. So I probably do want like a line where the ears are. Or do I? I don't know. I don't know if I want a line where the ears are or not. Oh well. Okay, so that initial round of shading is too light, so I need to come back with more. So the muzzle goes here, so you of course aren't shading there. And of course, like if you don't like shading or floating with a brush, you can always use a sponge. So nothing wrong with that. And I'm keeping the shade off the top of the ear and concentrating at the bottom of the ears. And while I'm here, I'm going to grab some cocoa. And I'm going to do his antlers. Okay, so I'm going to do the base there where it comes into the head. So again, that's cocoa, which is a beautiful color on toffee. I think that's what I used. Oh gosh, trying to keep track of all these colors. So they don't need a lot. And I need to come back with a lighter color on the top of the antlers. But while I'm here, I think I'm going to use a little bit of the toffee. Let me find it. Going to use a little bit of the toffee and just throw in a float. Just a little bit of a float there. Maybe even a little bit of a float there. Okay. Okay. So now I am going to get a lighter color so I can use almondine. And it will take off some of the pink, the vintage pink, but I still have that in this brush so I can come back to it. So I'm going to use the almondine because I believe the base coat on that was toffee. I am starting to lose track, but I think it was. And I'm going to just get another brush because I want it to be a little bit brighter. So I think I'm going to go light buttermilk next, because it's not quite light enough for my taste. So I'm going to get some light buttermilk. Okay. Okay, there it is. So a little bit of light buttermilk. And I'm going to use my dirty brush that just had the almondine in it. So using the dirty brush, going back over the area. Okay, I'm liking him. I'm liking him a lot. He's very cute. So now that I got that light buttermilk, I do want to brighten that top part of his muzzle a little bit. So I've gone over that with the light buttermilk as well. Okay, I want the antlers to be a little bit lighter, so I'm dipping back into the light buttermilk. And I'm kind of really concentrating on the tips. A little bit more. Let's really get those lightened up. So it's a little bit wetter. Okay, so if I want, I can see if I want to add just a touch of that vintage pink that's still in my brush. Let's see. Let's see what it looks like. It's really getting dry, so I don't really want to load it back up and add in more. So that, yeah, that helped a little bit. I'm going to come back with a little bit more light buttermilk, just at the very tippy tips. At the very tippy tips. There we go. Okay. So I could come back with a little bit more pink in his ears, but I think I'll think about that and possibly change that up down the line. Okay. So everything is shaping up. So as I look at this, now that it's shaping up, this is feeling like maybe I want to go lighter. I'm not 100% sure yet. I kind of have to live with it and play with it and see. Okay, so that's the primary bit of that done. So now I'm going to come back and I'm going to go ahead and shade and then add in, no, I'm going to go ahead and put in my stripes. So I have a choice of the watermelon slice or the tomato red. I think I'm going to go with the watermelon slice. I think I'm going to use the watermelon slice. Okay. So we're going to paint in alternate stripes with watermelon slice. Okay. I need more toilet paper. Okay, so watermelon slice, and I'm gonna be a traditionalist and brush that on. I know, I'm such a rule breaker, you know, dry brushing and sponging and, hi Darlene, yeah, I'm happy with the way the moose is turning out. He's kind of cute. Okay, so I think outer, oh yeah, watermelon slice with these tones is perfect. Perfect. So, I like that. And again, if it's too subtle for you, I mean, use a warm white or snow white for the stripes. If you don't like this muted, toffee with it. I think it was toffee. I don't think it was almondine. Trying to keep track in my head what colors I'm using. Oh my gosh. And the moose is not on my website yet. I sure hope I will get that and the Nativity Oh Holy Night inserts on this weekend. That's my goal. That's my goal. I can't always get it there, but that's my goal. And I have something I'm going to do in the demo during the online market spot. I'm going to tease you with it. So I am going to show you how to paint one of these cats. I don't know which yet, but these are my whimsy cats because I think it was Kathy Pratt said that there's not enough kitty cat ornaments out there in this world. We need more kitty cat ornaments. So here's one, and then here's another, and there's another. Aren't they cute? They're adorbs. I just love them. So I have to find some time to paint them up, and then I'll demo one during the online market spot. And whichever one I demo, I'll give you a free pattern for that, the line art. So you can see I made a hashtag out of that. So I'm going to try more and more to come on live because of the difficulty I've had finding time to edit my pre-recorded videos. So I'm gonna try to do this more often. It just depends on what's in my schedule. Okay, so I can clean up the red if I want, or I can shade and then clean it up if I think I still need it. So if you don't want the red to be too wussy, then come on in with another coat. Yeah, sometimes when I go live, I always, I know that the base coating is a bit tedious and laborious to watch me. It's like watching my paint dry, but it is part of the process. So, because when I'm doing edited videos, like this part, I'll just dial it up to 3 times speed. So I'm painting like this. You're like, oh my goodness, Kathy is Superwoman. She can paint so fast. So it makes the video go faster, and there's nothing to say I can't take this video and edit it and do that, but I'm just not got enough time in the day right now to do a lot of video editing. So I am going out of the line, not by choice, just being messy. Okay, that's 2 coats. That went fast. Okay, I'm going to use a little bit of almondine. Okay, so I'm going to take a bit of almondine, and I'm going to lighten up the toffee, but I'm going to use it as a color wash. So, because I don't want to lose all the toffee color underneath, so I'm just going to get a bit of water, and I'm just going to stroke in some of the almondine. And it will just lift the color enough, and you can come back to with a float of Snow White or Warm White as well, if you want to brighten it up even more. Okay. Okay, so now I need to shade the red, and I'm going to shade it with tomato red, and then I'm going to probably come back with a brown as well. But I'm going to start by shading it with the tomato red. So again, tomato red. So tomato red has a little bit of that kind of orangey tone, or it's got the tan in it, brown in it. It's a warm tone, is what I mean to say. Words are not working. Okay, so I'm going to put my shade on the right and at the bottom of the top part of the scarf. You can create your shades and highlights wherever you want them to be. But I'm going to do, actually it's not right, it's left, duh, that's the left. And just come back here and do the bottoms of each one of these. Okay, and I'm going to come back with a little bit of milk chocolate. And I'm going to do the darker, the cream colored. And I can see that my tomato red is not dark enough, but so I'll reinforce that too. So I'm just going to do the bottoms of this right quick. So left and bottom, or whatever side you prefer. These are such sophisticated pieces that we really have to get the light direction perfect. And I am kidding. I am just kidding. Yeah, no. These are so sophisticated, they must be exact. Okay. Okay, Sheila, thanks for dropping in. I really appreciate it. The triplets. Ooh. All right. Okay. Yeah, I got to meet Sheila at OKC. That was really enjoyable. Okay, so now I'm going to take a little bit of light buttermilk. Light buttermilk. And I'm going to float in some highlights. So for one thing, I can do a float all the way across if I want. I'm going to bring in some brighter bits on the stripes. And that's just kind of quick and fast. You don't need to spend a lot of time making it one way or the other, just unless you want to come back and really brighten them up. So the tomato red is not overly strong, but I'm going to go back over with a little bit of it, because you could come back in with traditional burnt umber or something like that as well if you want it to be dark, or a cherry merlot. It just depends on how dark you want that shade. But for now, I'm going to leave it at that because I'll do a lot of my finessing after I've gotten most of the bits done. So I just want to get most of it done, and then I can spend some time looking at them after everything starts to come together, and I get a better feeling for what I need to address. So he is mostly done. Okay, so we have this little sign here. So this is going to be, we'll have a bit of yellow on the beak, but this is going to be, I think, the tomato red. So I'm just going to come in. I use this with the vintage pink, so it's got some pink tones in it. I'm just going to get some color down on my bird. So that's tomato red. And I'll come back with yellow or orange on the beak, but I just wanted to get that sort of in there. Okay, so I'm going to take a bit of burnt umber. That's dark chocolate. Dark chocolate will work too. Let me just do a little bit of dark chocolate. And I am going to just sponge a bit on the pole. So that's just a bit of dark chocolate onto the pole. And I guess it needs a little bit up there too. So you can cover the whole thing because it's going to be covered by these pieces. Okay, so if you want it to look like a little bit more like wood, there's an easy way to do that. You just grab a baby wipe and you can just wipe it. Now, I use MDF. So MDF doesn't have the grain in it that the birch plywood does. But if you want it to kind of sort of look like wood, you just drag your little baby wipe until you get whatever tone you want. Okay? So you don't do a second coat or anything because you don't want it to look like paint. You want it to look a little bit more like stain. So you take it off until you're happy. Like I could take even more of that off. I'll show you what it looks like if you do. So it gives it more of like a wood finish. So baby wipe, burnt umber. There you go. Easy peasy. Okay, so Birdie is dry, so I'll do another round of tomato red. Okay, so Moose Crossing is that way. North Pole can be that. I can't remember which is which. I guess North Pole is the top one. And Winter Woods. Okay, so I think the Winter Woods we're going to keep in these teal, jewel blue, the teal colors. We're going to go ahead and just get a little sponge. On this, you do not want to use a brush because you will deposit paint into those, into the engraving. Okay, I was just trying to read what Lucy was saying about her hair. Okay, so do not use a brush on these because you'll lose a lot of your engraving. Okay, and you could make these faux wood if you want, but I want to make them colorful. So the bottom one, Winter Woods, it needs to be the tone that we were using on the trees. So I'm going to use the bluegrass green, yeah, that's it. So I was going to use that. It's my Kentucky color, right? Isn't that where bluegrass is when they talk about the bluegrass, I think, and all the horsies. I think that's Kentucky. So when you sponge it, another reason I like these applicators as opposed to a sponge is you tend to be more horizontal when you're doing this, and you're not digging the paint into the engraving. So don't press overly hard. You're just kind of going lightly. You can do a second coat the same way to get more coverage if you need to, but you don't want to lose all your engraving. So even on these pieces, I will take time and I will dry brush and shade and do all that stuff, even on these teeny tiny pieces, because that's really what brings all of this to life. Okay, so that was, again, the bluegrass green. And then Moose Crossing is going to be, North Pole, I know I want to do blue. I want to do that in a blue. So I pulled out Aqua Sky. Okay. So, yeah. So it's a little, maybe it's a little bit bluer than I want, but anyway, I pulled out Aqua Sky, so I'm gonna use that. So these things can be washed if you get to them, right away. I don't know if this is gonna be too light. Something like a winter blue would also be interesting here, but I've already used some jewel colors, and I'm not sure having like winter blue, if that's a good mix or not. Okay, I started to get heavy in there, so like I'm starting to lose the H. Sometimes when I do that, it depends on how much it's bothering me. I'll get an X-Acto knife or a tool, and I'll try to go inside the engraving and pull out the paint. Okay. It just depends on how much it's bugging me. Okay, Moose Crossing. Don't know what color to make that. I don't know. Oh, okay. So I had pulled mulberry. Okay, frosted plum. Frosted plum. Okay, frosted plum. For Moose Crossing. So that's a very kind of subdued plummy color. Now the other thing you can do, if some of these lines start to fill, when everything is completely dry, you can use something like a permanent marker or a Rotring. This is a 0.35, and it's got a really, 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 really fine point on it. And I'm able to use this permanent black marker. It will line up, the metal will line up into the etching. So I'll just quickly show you. So I actually stick it into, it's very hard to see there. I stick it into the etching, and this tip is fine enough, the 0.35, that it will fill into the line. So it depends on how, how detailed you want to be. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to. Some people just want to make these laser cut pieces really simple. And they don't want to mess around with it, and they get a lot of joy out of doing them, but they don't want to fuss over them. And so that's the beauty of the pieces. You can do them in a very simple manner, or you can do them in a more detailed approach. So it's really up to you. So like I said, I need to do some dry brushing and shading on those. But that's kind of giving you a little bit of a look as how it's shaping up. And same with this guy. He needs a little bit of extra stuff too, the red bird. And there's some holly that will go on the moose. I forgot about that. So I'll be doing some holly. And I don't know which color I'm going to use on that. I hate to come in and introduce another tone of green, so I may use some of the stuff that I've already done. So the same with the holly, it will probably be watermelon slice. And then the other thing I have to do is this piece here. Okay, so there's a bunch of snowflakes, and I'm going to do the snowflakes in Snow White, and I'm going to glitter them up, and I'm going to do a whole bunch of stuff to them. But I have to tell you, because it gets so frustrating, but there's nothing we can do, because there's a lot of cut sides on snowflakes, that they will leach out the tannins. So you tend to get brown in your snowflake. And really there's not much you can do. You start by sealing them with the multi-purpose sealer on all edges. Let them really fully dry. Then start the process of sponging on your white on all the edges. Try to get the white everywhere. And let them sit and see if you're getting some more leaching. It's just a process. I wish there was an easy way. And then I finish it up with glitter. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna try to find a stencil I like to do the background. The letters are going to be in watermelon slice, shaded in tomato red, possibly burnt umber as well. And I haven't quite figured out what color the background's going to be, but there will be something stenciled, something Christmassy stenciled on the back. So this sign is the thing that slips into the window box at the bottom. And so I've got a few things to do. I got my snowflakes, and I've got to refine this piece. I have to refine that piece. But mostly that kind of gives you an idea of how this guy's going to come together. And I'll come back and add in some black marker into the eye, or use a liner and do that as well. And I'm just going to play around with it and kind of sleep on it and see what I want to do that's different. You know, the other thing that's fun that you can do is I know it's out in the woods, and woods usually don't have ornaments or lights or whatever, but I like bling a lot. So you can put glitter or snow or white into the trees, and you can put rhinestones and beads and dress it up, because I don't know, maybe this moose is really good at Christmas decorations, and you know, he's found a spot in the woods and he's put lights in the tree. So have fun with it, and I will try to get it on my website as soon as I can. Okay, so I am going to continue with what I was painting earlier, which is the Moose Christmoose insert. And so I've got to finish up some pieces. And this is the sign. This is the Merry Christmoose sign. And so I got out my roller that I was using earlier. And I'm going to use the bluegrass green color, because it's kind of the mid-tone of all of those teals. So I didn't want to go too light, and I didn't want to go too dark. So I'm going to go ahead and do 2 coats of this. And I will do, like I said, 2 coats, but I'm also going to do the back, and I need to dry this, so when I come back I will have finished both coats, front and back. So I'm going to dry and do a couple more coats. Alright, so I'm using watermelon slice, and I'm going over my letters. So I had used this roller for kind of a pink, and it's very dried out. In fact, my Ziploc bag didn't work very well. So my coverage isn't as good with this roller as I would have liked. That's the only problem sometimes with the Ziploc bags. You think that they're fully sealed when you put these in to reuse them if you don't want to wash them out. And sometimes you come back and you find that air is seeped in. So then you're like, maybe I should have just washed them out. I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 coats of that. And since this is, in a pine, a moose in the Northwood Pines or whatever, this is the Sawdust Makery stencil that I cut and sell. And it's got pines on it, so that's going to be absolutely perfect for the background. When you get this kit from me and you see this piece, it's like, what? So don't lose it. It is all by itself, and it's easy to misplace. But that is the eye in your Christmas, Christmoose. Okay, I'll do another round of watermelon slice. You don't need to do the back. I did the back of the sign. That helps it to keep from warping. Alright, well, I'm going to put this back in my bag that seems to be kind of leaky, but oh well. Try to roll it in to the bag. That might help as well. Okay. Send that off. Okay. Dry that, and then I'm going to come back with this piece and do my stenciling. So let me clean this mess up a little bit and dry my letters. So you have a choice of going darker or lighter. So this is bluegrass green, and so the darkest one, they're either mystic teal or mermaid teal. If you want it to go darker, if you want to go lighter, the next one is teal mint. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm going to try lighter. Hey, if you don't like it after you do it, you just paint out everything and start over. So you need a stencil brush, paper towel, so load up your brush, pull it through the paper, dab it just a little bit. Okay, so you want to find a way to kind of hold this in place. I mean, you could try to tape it if you want, but just kind of see where you want everything to end and begin. And so say if I put my top of my pine trees up here, then I'll be able to continue it in a straight line as I move to the next area. So when it's wet, I don't like to swirl. As it gets drier, then I'm okay swirling it. Okay, it's starting to get a little bit drier now. And you can use kind of a more solid coverage, or you can use a lighter coverage. If you want your pine trees to look more solid, you can let this dry, then come back in and do a second coat. So that's up to you. And it's usually pretty easy to line everything up after you move this. There's a bit of fuzz that keeps following me around. Okay, let me lift that. Yeah, I like that. Maybe I want it darker, I don't know. So nothing down here is going to show because there's a piece on the display that goes right over that. Okay, I'm going to come back over here, and remember I was using the top of that as my guide. I can't get rid of that fuzz. Literally is just stuck to me. Stuck to me and my brush. Okay. All right. Yeah, like that. I could probably have this a little darker over here. Let me just see. Try to line that up. So some of it could be a little darker. Okay. Simple. Or when we lived in the UK, there was an insurance company that had the funniest commercials with meerkats. And they weren't just meerkats, they were meerkats with Russian accents. And so they always would end, like, it was easy to sign up for their insurance, so they'd say, simples, simples. Oh well. I guess you had to be there. Okay, I'm going to use my dry brush. A lot of it's not going to show, but I'm just going to kind of add in just a little bit of lighter color through here. I mean, the stencil brush is very, very dry now. There's not much paint left in it, but just want to do that. So now, if you are really ambitious and you wanted to spend more time, you could shade under every one of these letters. I don't feel like doing that. I often do. I mean, and you could even, if you wanted to have a bit of shading at the bottom, you could almost just take an angle brush and just go along the bottom of this where the letters will be, but I don't want to mess with it. However, these guys are much too plain, so it's going to be a little bit of, extra work to do this, but I will float and shade. So, when you're doing these letters, the easiest way to float and shade, instead of like, okay, which direction is the sun coming from? What direction is your light source coming from? I just make it simple, and I make it simples. I shade all around the bottom, and then I'll float along the top. So it's almost like an ombre. you know, light, medium, dark. So our dark color was the tomato red. So we are going to do it easy. I know what we could do. We can make each one of these a peppermint stick. That would take forever. I am just kidding. Okay, so we can float it actually with an angled floater, but actually I'm going to make this even easier. I'm going to use my blender brush, my Dynasty 200. I get these from Maureen Baker. And so I'm going to use this at the bottom. And I can see already this is not going to be dark enough. So I'll come back with something different, okay, which is the bottom and which is the top. So it goes that way. So that means that that's the bottom. So yeah, that is not dark enough. I'm going to do a second coat of it. Okay, so I need to find a slightly darker red. I am going to see, because I know like the Cherry Merlot is darker, but it's got it's got blue in it. So let me have a peek. Okay, I'm gonna use a bit of Rookwood. Napa Red is another one that's darker, but with a little bit of brown in it. So you don't need much of this. So we don't want to lose everything. So let's kind of keep it towards the very bottom. But you definitely need something. So the tomato red is not different enough from that watermelon slice. Surprise, surprise. In the bottle it looks a lot darker. So that's all then you need to do for that. And then we are going to turn these back around, and we want to put a bit of brightness at the top. So I am going to do something I don't normally do. I'm washing out my blending dry brush, and I'm going to try to use it if I can get enough of the moisture out of it. Still wet, but okay. I am going to grab my Neon Fiery Red. And I'm going to swipe it across the top. So that really makes the red pop. So let's see what that's looking like. Yep. So now, very lightly, I'm going to take some of that vintage pink we were using earlier, And I really want just a smidge here and there. Okay. I really want it at the very, very top. I don't want it to come down too far. Yes, I like it. I'm just thinking to myself, you could even like do dots on this if you wanted with the stylus, but okay. So I think that that's the sign done. You could do lots of cool stuff. You can do a splatter on the background if you wanted. You could add in more shading. It's just that a lot of the shading won't show because this slips in and there's this scalloped edge it slips into. So I will leave this as it is for now. All right, I have some cleanup on aisle 13 or 9 or 6 or whatever aisle I'm cleaning up on. Okay, so this was Plum Frost, and I'm going to use a little bit of mulberry just to shade it. You can add it with a sponge or a dry brush if you don't want to shade. The thing about using a dry brush is it just leaves you with more dry brushes that are dirty. So, and whenever you do these inserts, or any of these laser cut kits, you end up with so much dry brushing if you do them the way I'm doing them. And so for some of these small pieces, it's like, I think it's easier just to do a shade like that. Okay, so I was trying to think what I have. I'll have to look to see what color I want to put across the top. Okay, so this was the bluegrass. So I'm going to use a little bit of mermaid tail for the shade at the bottom. You could use a little bit of Payne's gray or both, in case this isn't dark enough. I mean, these little signs are so teeny tiny. It doesn't matter too much. I don't like the fact that I just got a little bit of paint in the engraving area. I'm going to come back with just a little bit of Payne's gray and go back over that area. And I'm also going to use it a little bit here. Not as much as I used the first time with the lighter color. And as my bird is here, I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of shading. It's a little heavy. And I still have a little bit of vintage pink on my palette. I'm going to get a tiny dry brush, i.e. I'm going to get another dry brush dirty. There's no other way to really do this. It needs a dry brush. All right. Paper towels keep walking away. I think my paper towels have legs on them because they keep walking away from me. What's going on? Where are they going? Sometimes I'll find them clear across the floor and I'm like, did you walk over there? Did you roll over there? How did you get over there? Okay, so that's a little bit of interest in the teeny tiny bird. So he needed something, she needed something well, I guess it would be a he if it's a bright red cardinal. Okay, and just like a little bit of marigold or any kind of orangey yellow for the beak, and a liner or something. You don't need much. Could probably use 2 coats of that. And as I have the Payne's Gray out, you can grab lamp black or soft black, or if you want, since you have the Payne's Gray out, you can get a stylus. I'm just trying to find one that's small enough, and dot it with Payne's Gray. I just need a very tiny dot. Tiny, tiny, tiny dot. Okay. Tiny, tiny little dot. Tiny, tiny little dot. And I went out of bounds. I'm going to have to live with that. And I didn't look like I was going out of bounds, but hey ho. Okay, so North Pole. Now, when I was sponging this, I didn't get, like, it's just not solid. And I didn't want to obscure the text, but I also like a little bit of this imperfection coming through, because it's a weathered sign. So the fact that some of the brown is coming through on these signs is absolutely perfect. So it shows that they're weathered from outdoor use. Okay, so I need a darker shade to shade in the North Pole. Okay, so that was Apple Sky. I got a lighter one because I still need to do highlights as well. I guess I can tie it in, or I can just use a little bit of Payne's Gray. I might just do that, just use a little bit of Payne's Gray after I find my shader. Might be a little dark, but again, it doesn't really matter. It's just such a tiny area. Okay, so, and now I'm just going to take a little bit of almondine on each of these and just put in a float of brightness across the top. And I'm going to come back. I did a dry brush, but I'm just going to do a little bit of float here and there on the bird. Just a light touch. Okay. So those are done. Those little signs are done. Okay, so I need to come back. I've got some tomato red, and I'm just going to do the little berries with the tomato red. I need to do something with the, I need to do something with the mistletoe, and I can use some of the colors that I started with. I'm just trying to think. I might, okay, so I'm going to introduce another color. It's jewel green. It's such a small area, it doesn't really matter, but I want it to be a little bit more green than this blue spruce. So I'm just going to add it in. Of course, all that's covered where the berries are. I'm just going to add in that jewel green. So it's related, but it's got more green in it, which is what I wanted. Okay, so I'm going to take the rookwood, it's the rookwood red, and you just have to remember what is top and what is bottom. So, so just remember after you put these on, when you glue them down, you know, you want the darker color to the bottom, which we all intend to do that, and then we forget. Okay, I could come in with some Payne's Gray on this, but I'm just curious what this looks like with just a little bit of this rookwood. It kind of helps to tie in the holly leaves to the berries. And once you put the rookwood red onto the green, it takes on a different hue. And then if you want, you certainly can add in a little lime. Okay, so that needs just a tiny touch of a highlight across the top. So I'm going to take a little bit of the aqua sky that I was using. And I'm just going to drag it along the top here and there. Okay, so the berries also need a float, and we're going to use the vintage pink. Actually, I'm going to do what I did on the letters. I'm going to start with the neon fiery red. Okay. Neon fiery red. And now I'm going to come back with the vintage pink. It's way more than I wanted. Oh, I'm going everywhere except where I want it to go. Have to fix that with the rookwood. I really liked the way that neon fiery red was working. Just going to go back over. Now that I have the vintage pink under it, it's really going to pop. It might be too much. It might be too much, but oh well. it's gonna show up. Okay. Okay, let's see what this looks like. Have to get all these containers of paint out of my way. Okay. So this goes here. Lift that up. And that goes, will be underneath in that little slot. And then that goes there. I like him. He is very dapper. And that will go there. And I still might add in some snow white on the branches. That goes like that. And of course those all need to be done. I think I had the North Pole at the bottom. These crossing there. Actually, I think it was the other way. It was this way. North Pole, Winter Woods. Yeah, the Winter Woods could be lighter. The Winter Woods definitely needs to be lighter. Okay. So let me grab a brush. Okay. So we have sea breeze. So I'm going to use a little bit of sea breeze. Okay. Yeah, I like that better. Okay. So, like I said, I need to bring in some white. And everything can use a little bit of white as well. And I'm going to be doing these in white too. Okay, so that goes there. Okay. So I would think that highlights of white are definitely some things that I need. And I want to come in with some swooshes of snow. This one would have more snow on it than the ones in the back. The back, they're supposed to be to the back. So you could do the tips with a bit of snow, but you don't really want a lot of white in the back. Okay, so I'm going to bring in my Snow White, and we're going to start doing that. I also need to go ahead and seal these. So I've got my all-purpose sealer, and I'm going to seal the snowflakes. Okay, Let me just grab a brush, any brush, cheap brush. Doesn't have to be a good brush. Really saturate these snowflakes with sealer, and I'm going to flip them and seal them again. Just make sure I really get lots of that in there, and it soaks down into the sides. Okay, let them dry. So let's see, let me do this. I'm gonna start with these, and I'm gonna get some white. You really want to keep to the very top. You don't want to go too far in with the white and ruin all the lovely highlighting that you previously did. So it soaks in pretty quickly though, but I don't want to overdo those. Okay. All right, so I'm going to come in and just add in white here and there. So I already had a float of white there, but just add in a little more. Just a little bit more on his nose. I don't know, they have a lot of white on them, the antlers, so I don't really think I need to do any more. So it's really the thing that needs it. I mean, I can add in a little bit more along the top. It's got quite a bit. The bird already has quite a bit. Okay. So, I mean, I certainly can make the antlers a little bit whiter. Where'd that come from? But they are pretty white already. Okay, so I'll just move all this out of the way. And I'm going to concentrate on the pine trees. Especially like this one here. Tippy top for sure. And certainly we can go even heavier there. here we can do the top. We don't want to do much more than that area. Okay. So really, it comes down to whether or not we want to add in glitter. I might add in a touch of it. Okay, so I have that. That's got a blue tone to it. Ah, that's what I want. Can't get in anymore, I don't think. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of go back over some of the areas that I laid down the white. So this is Enchanted Shimmer White. And like I said, don't think it's available anymore. Sadly. Christmas is not the same without Enchanted Shimmer White. Can't do anything if I don't have Enchanted Shimmer White. Use it on so much stuff at Christmas time. Okay. And then up here. Little there. And that's all I want to do on the back ones. Yeah, that made a difference, having that. Okay, and then I may decorate the tree. So basically, I will show you the final photo, and you'll be able to see what all I did. I have to work on these little puppies. Got to work on my snowflakes. But I think pretty much that's all I need to do on these pieces. So I'll take a picture when it's all done, and then you get to see it. But anyway, that is all for now. Let's see if I can get my mouse going again. So after I've been, there I am. So after I've been off, I have been using the laptop, that the mouse goes to sleep, and it's like almost impossible to get it to wake up when I need it. Okay, so that is all, and I hope you enjoyed painting the Christmoose insert with me, and I will eventually, by the time you see this, well, I'm going to put this video on my YouTube channel, and I should have that insert up definitely in the next couple of days. So I guess that's it. If you have any questions, leave comments for me. I'll get back to you. And thank you guys for watching. This is Kathy McAllister, T-Wife Creations. Bye.